ජීවිතේ වැඩිපුර ලැබෙන හොඳම දේවල් විඳින්න. දැන් SLT Broadband වෙතින් 75% දක්වා වැඩිපුර ඩේටා සතුට ජනවාරි 1 වෙනිදා සිට ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම්.
Making headlines on First at 9. Extremists in play. The president denounces attempts to incite racial tension targeting UNHRC sessions in Geneva. Untimely demise. Chief incumbent of the Sri Sambodhi Temple in Colombo, Venerable Derana Kusala Dhammathera, passes away. Silence is golden. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa believes what needs to be done at present should be done in silence. Silk Route connection. China insists that its friendly policy towards Sri Lanka has never changed and never will. Not in a mood for begging. North Korea threatens to retaliate if the US holds joint military exercises with South Korea. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Katharina Chang. On to your top story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena denounces attempts to stir up racial tensions, especially in the recent events in Ampara. Addressing a function held at the Weber grounds in Batticaloa today, the head of state said extremists incite such incidents targeting UN human rights sessions in Geneva. He added that although the intention of the extreme faction is to inconvenience the government, it only results in the degeneration of the country. The Weber grounds in Batticaloa hosted a ceremony this afternoon, which saw President Maithripala Sirisena presenting teaching appointments to 200 graduates and 40 diploma holders of the Batticaloa district.
The issue of unemployed graduates not only prevail in the East but around the country. We called for applications to give jobs for graduates 4 months ago. We will also work towards giving jobs to all unemployed graduates within 6 months. We will give prominence to issues in the North and the East. I also hope to make the development process in these two provinces more effective and establish 2 presidential task forces. The recent incident in Ampara is sorrowful. Law should be implemented irrespective of stature. Human Rights Council in Geneva takes up Sri Lanka for discussion in March and September, and that's why extremists stir up issues around these times each year. What they want is to inconvenience the government. But what really happens is the degradation of the country.
Following the ceremony, the president called on the chief incumbent of Sri Mangalarama Temple in Batticaloa, Venerable Ampite Sumnarathanathera. Subsequently, the head of state paid a visit to the Sri Mamanga Ishwara Kovil and engaged in religious observances. Chief incumbent of the Sri Sambodhi Temple in Colombo and the founder of the channel The Buddhist, Venerable Derana Kusala Dhammathera, passed away today. The Thera was 54 at the time of his passing. The final rites of the Thera will be conducted on the 8th with full state patronage at the Independence Square.
Venerable Derana Kusala Dhammathera was ailing for some time and was receiving treatment when he passed away this morning. Born on the 30th of July 1963 in Darnagama, the Thera departs the mortal realm at the age of 54. After schooling at the Royal College in Colombo, Kusala Dhammathera became a Bachelor of Arts at the University of Kelaniya. Venerable Kusala Dhammathera enlightened his ordained life under the tutelage of late Chief Prelate of the Amarpura sector, Most Venerable Madihe Panyasiha Thera, and proliferated the word of Lord Buddha across the world. Venerable Derana Kusala Dhammathera was the principal of the first ever Dhamma school established in English medium and was also the founder of the television and radio channel The Buddhist. Upon receiving news of the Thera's demise, a number of politicians, including former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and former Chief of the Army, General Daya Ratnayaka, arrived at the Sri Sambodhi Temple in Colombo. The remains of the Thera will be brought to the temple after 10 tonight, and the public will have the opportunity to pay their last respects after midnight.
Minister of Finance Mangala Samaraweera says that the government envisages to gradually increase budgetary allocations for education up to 6% of GDP by 2025. Speaking at an event in Matra yesterday, Minister Samaraweera added that investment in education is a priority in government's policy. Also addressing the event, Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kenichi Sugunama, assured that Japan will continue to support Sri Lanka's development process.
Minister Mangala Samaravira, together with the Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kenichi Sugunuma, visited a newly built IT lab in the students of the Dudley Senanayaka Mahavidyalaya in Peterbadara yesterday.
We allocated more than 333 billion rupees for education from the last budget. In 2014, only 196 billion rupees was allocated for education per year, but now we have spent more than 3% from the entire budget for education. We think that every cent we spend to strengthen the future generation is valuable. Our aim is to increase budgetary allocation for education and expand the percentage up to 6% by 2025.
Japan has always had a good relation with Sri Lanka. Now we are working very hard with the government to try to develop further Sri Lanka and strengthen our relation. We are also working not only in infrastructure but also for the disaster risk reduction, so that in future we can at least minimize the risk of disaster hitting the community. We are going to continue to support this development process. Also hope that the relation between Japan and Sri Lanka will be further strengthened.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa asserts that his future political plans are being executed in silence. The former head of state made the remark addressing media following a religious event in Thelavala Ratnamali temple today. Responding to journalists, the former head of state also touched on the recent clash between protesting farmers and the police. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa attended a religious ceremony held at the Thelavala Swarnamali temple in Ratmalana this morning.
We must pay attention to the damage done to the culture of this country today. Some are poking fun at various practices of the country and some media gives value to it. When I was the president, we went home for the Sinhala New Year and paid respects to our elders so that the younger generation would look up at a good example. Today, they're trying to introduce and legalize foreign traditions in this country. I believe that the Mahasangha should intervene and educate the society on such practices.
Following the ceremony, the former president responded to questions raised by media.
ජනතා බලාපොරොත්තු වන ඔබතුමාගේ ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය පිළිබඳව ඉදිරි. හැබැයි පොඩක් නිහඬයි වගේ.
නෑ ඒක තමයි පේන්නේ. අපි මේ වෙලාවේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා කෑ ගහලා තද්ද කරලා බෙර ගහලා කරන්න බෑ. ඒ අවශ්‍ය ඒවා ලස්සනට ගෙවිගෙන යනවා.
මොකදකම ගොවීන්ට පහර දීම පිළිබඳව ඔබතුමා
ඒත් මම ඒක නින්දිද ක්‍රියා.
I consider it to be a shameful act. The ministers should take measures to release them immediately on bail. They can't deprive the people of their right to expression. We saw an unnecessary attack.
අනවශ්‍ය විදියට පහර දීමක් අපි දැක්කේ.
විරුද්ධ පාර්ශවයන් කියනවා මේ ඔබතුමාගේ කාලෙත් මේ රතුපස්සල වගේ මේ සිද්ධීන් වුණා කියලා.
ඒ සිදුවීමයි මේකයි අතර ලොකු වෙනසක් තියෙනවා.
පාලන මැටර්නක මේ බලය පිටුවීම
මම හිතන්නේ ඒවා විසඳෙමින් යවෙනවා. හැබැයි මේ මැතිවරණ ක්‍රමයම මහා විකෘති වෙච්ච මැතිවරණ ක්‍රමයක්.
ඔබතුමාලාගේ ඉදිරි වැඩපිළිවෙල මොකක්ද?
7 වෙනිදාට රැස්වීම.
A meeting will be held on the 7th. What we have to do now should be done in silence. What was needed to be done in full voice is already done.
වැඩ ටික කරලා ඉවරයි.
Leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna parliamentarian Anura Kumara Disanayaka insists that his party will take the lead in abolishing the executive presidency in a backdrop where the country has plunged into a political crisis. The parliamentarian made the remark while addressing a conference held in Colombo today. A gathering of JVP's victorious candidates in the recent local authorities election was worked off in Colombo today under the patronage of the party leader parliamentarian Anura Kumara Disanayaka.
The government has not been able to recover after the election and they have become helpless. Not only the government, the election results also depict the UNP's collapse of power. This result of the election poses a huge threat to the future of the UNP. But after 3 years of governing, the results of the election have shown that neither Maithripala Sirisena nor Ranil Wickremesinghe is able to sit on the chair of the president. What they should do now is to abolish the executive presidency since they cannot sit in that chair. In safeguarding the rights of the people, JVP is attempting to launch a process which will see the abolishment of the executive presidency.
The political arena continues to be dominated by the possible no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister as well as other changes within the United National Party. Let's take a look at what the politicians had to say.
They are taking a journey without talented people as a result of political squabbles. As a result, the country is dragged into darkness. We think that a no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister is timely because of the economy's collapse and the depreciation of the currency as well as the bond scam. We accept the fact that the UNP should undergo a change. We will solve the issues of our party, but we don't intend to resolve it through the parliamentary system. Everyone wants Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe removed from the post. Today, UNP itself has taken the initiative for that. Most think that this issue will be solved with the removal of the Prime Minister. I want to know who is ready to take over once he steps down. If there won't be anyone to take over the responsibility, the party will be destroyed. That's what the SLFP wants. The entire country is keeping an eye on the no-confidence motion. If the Prime Minister is really unafraid, he should pay way to a new public mandate. Our contestants present here lost because we got together with the UNP. We have held discussions and informed the Prime Minister in writing. We intend to give a new UNP for the people of this country in a couple of weeks. We hope to bring a new concept. We hope the Prime Minister will be in office and the party will be given to youthful members. I think we will be able to start a new journey within a month.
Let's now go for a short commercial break. Last Thursday, the story of war veteran Tejas Samankumara, who travels approximately 5 kilometers without the use of one of his legs and both arms to fetch water in Talattu and Kandy, was brought to your attention. However, as authorities have not yet provided assistance despite having held discussions, he engaged in a hunger strike opposite the temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy this morning.
War veteran Tejas Samankumara, together with his family, engaged in a hunger strike opposite the temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy this morning, citing that the National Water Supply and Drainage Board was not able to provide an adequate solution on water supply to his residents. An official from the board who arrived at the location, however, said that measures are being taken to supply water and a report will be provided next Monday. Thereafter, a group of officers from the area headquarters of the army in Kandy handed veteran Tejas Samankumara a letter assuring him that necessary steps will be taken to supply water with the intervention of the 11th Brigade. With the assurance of the army, Tejas Samankumara concluded the hunger strike.
The Yala National Park is home to 44 varieties of mammal and over 200 bird species. Among its more famous residents are the world's biggest concentration of leopards, majestic elephants and sloth bears, who live in 130,000 hectares of land consisting of light forest, scrubbery, grasslands, tanks and lagoons. It has, however, been reported that a part of the Yala Reserve is being used as a garbage disposal site, endangering its inhabitants and surroundings. Waste from the Tissamaharama town is currently being disposed at the Yala National Reserve since of late. When Derana visited the reserve, garbage trucks belonging to the Tissamaharama Pradeshya Sabha were seen disposing waste in the area. Derana inquired about the incident from its employees who were carrying out the task. Elephants were seen consuming the waste dumped in the area at the time.
Upon further investigation, it was revealed that the recycling centre managed by the Tissa Maharama Pradeshya Sabha was not utilised in a proper manner, resulting in non-recyclable material being disposed within the reserve. However, our attempts to inquire the matter from the Ministry of Sustainable Development and Wildlife proved futile.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
A woman was killed when a lorry and a three-wheeler collided along the Malabe Aturugiri road around 11 p.m. yesterday. The incident was caught on CCTV. An employee of the Ceylon Electricity Board died after being electrocuted while repairing a cable of a transmission tower in the area of Sirikanduravatta in Rathgama. The deceased was identified as a 39-year-old resident of the Totagamu area in Hikkaduwa. Sri Lanka Navy apologized on behalf of former Navy Commander Vice Admiral Ravindra Vijaykunaratne for assaulting a reporter from Derana during a protest in Hambantota. As a result, the Supreme Court decided to end the case with both sides agreeing to reconcile.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
China shows continued support to Sri Lanka in the island nation's journey towards high economic and social development. Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Cheng Zhu-yuan, who took office recently, said this speaking at the Chinese Cultural Fair in Colombo, adding that his country's friendly policy towards Sri Lanka will not change. Meanwhile, Megapolis and Western Development Minister Partli Champika Ranawaka pointed out that it is important to maintain healthy relations with China in a backdrop where ties with some countries are merely diplomatic. The opening ceremony of the second Chinese Cultural Fair in Colombo was presided over by Minister of Megapolis and Western Development Partli Champika Ranawaka and the new Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Cheng Zhu-yuan.
In today's modern world, we have many friends with diplomatic relations maintained for many decades. Our relationship with some of those are limited merely to a diplomatic relationship. Some friends are good in advising us how to develop our economy and how to govern the country. Very few countries have been able to provide physical development in our country. We wish to say that China has been one of those countries who has given tangible things to the peoples of Sri Lanka. It is very important to maintain a healthy and mutually beneficial relationship for the benefit of the people of both countries.
China and Sri Lanka are good neighbors, good friends and good partners. China's friendly policy to Sri Lanka has never changed and will never change in the future. 2,000 years ago, the Asian maritime Silk Road connected us together. Now it is time for us to join hands to build the 21st century maritime into a loop. China will continue to support economic and social development of Sri Lanka within our capacity.
The inaugural ceremony was followed by a Chinese cultural performance. The International Monetary Fund has joined criticism of Donald Trump's plan to impose a 25% tariff on steel imports and 10% on aluminium. The IMF warned yesterday that US import tariffs would likely cause economic damage to the United States and its trading partners and urged countries to resolve trade disputes without resorting to retaliatory measures. Issuing a statement, the IMF was quoted as saying the import restrictions announced by the US president are likely to cause damage not only outside the US but also to the US economy itself, including to its manufacturing and construction sectors, which are major users of aluminium and steel. The IMF added that they are concerned that the measures proposed by the US will de facto expand the circumstances where countries use the national security rationale to justify broad-based import restrictions. US President Donald Trump's threats to unleash a trade war over steel crushed any hopes of substantial progress in talks to rework NAFTA, pitching negotiators into a political maelstrom and heightening fears for the trade deal's future.
For them to consider slapping a tariff on steel that's exported from Canada to the United States is ridiculous. The only way to deal with this is to slap a 25% tariff on any steel that's exported to Canada from the United States.
Neither Canada nor Mexico nor the United States are in a position to take action to get up from the table. We are working constructively.
In the meantime, the European Union is considering applying 25% tariffs on around $3.5 billion of imports from the United States if President Donald Trump carries out his plan to apply global duties to steel and aluminium. The European Commission said it would respond firmly to proposed US import duties of 25% on steel and 10% on aluminium.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. North Korea today threatened to counter the United States if the US holds joint military exercises with South Korea, insisting that it would not beg for talks with Washington. A South Korean presidential security advisor said this week that the United States is due to start joint exercises in early April, the latest in a series of drills that the North has regularly described as a threat. North Korea's official KCNA news agency said in its commentary that the DPRK will use its own mode of counteraction and the US will be made to own all responsibilities for the ensuing consequences if it holds joint military exercises while keeping sanctions on the DPRK. The North says that drills would harm reconciliation efforts on the peninsula. The death toll from severe weather has risen across Europe with at least 23 casualties in Poland alone amid sub-zero temperatures. According to AFP news agency, more than 60 people have died across the continent and shelters have been opened as the plight of rough sleepers is a major concern. Meanwhile, most transport and flights have been suspended in Ireland where thousands were left without power. The unusually cold spell brought by Siberian weather system is being felt as the far south of the Mediterranean. However, in London, the situation seems to be easing. We have James Reid giving us an update from there.
Hi there Sri Lanka, this is James Reid reporting live from Cheam in London, England. And as you can see, the snow is starting to thaw, it's starting to melt away. The air temperature is significantly higher than it has been the past few days. It's now about around about just above freezing, but it's a lot warmer than it has been. Basically the beast of the east is coming to an end, certainly in London anyway. However, parts of Wales, especially in Scotland as well, the weather and the snow is still quite heavy up there. The Met Office has still also issued yellow weather warnings as there is still ice on roads causing traffic problems, especially in the south of England and again in Wales and Scotland. But as you can see, it's quite a change. We've actually had some sun earlier this morning as well.
The Dutch call it the Siberian bear, Swedes the snow cannon, but for Britons it is the beast from the east, and it met Storm Emma on Thursday, causing blizzards and strong winds in parts of England, Wales and Ireland. Dublin Airport remained closed yesterday as Storm Emma battered Ireland, blocking roads, grounding planes and stopping trains. Due to a red weather alert for heavy snow, all airlines at the airport suspended flights on this morning as well. At least 24,000 homes and businesses in Ireland didn't have power as snowdrifts left accumulations up to 3 feet deep. The main railway line at Dowlish Station in Devon, UK, was hit with flood damage yesterday as Storm Emma approached. The seawall on the Devon section of the line was damaged by large waves. Videos uploaded on social media showed a group of passengers stranded in a train in England because of the travel chaos caused by the UK's freezing weather as the train lost power and heating, leaving passengers with limited food and water supply overnight. Passengers were trapped on the train for over 15 hours and slept on overhead baggage compartments, covered with jackets and scarves to keep warm. Animal owners are also facing difficulties due to the big freeze, with horse owners in particular struggling to reach their equestrian stables due to heavy snow blocking their paths. Piles of snow accumulated in front of the stables, making it hard for owners to feed their horses. Driving in parts of the UK was near impossible as motorists struggled to even see the road clearly. A video posted on social media shows the treacherous driving conditions among heavy blizzard in South Yorkshire. In Poland, the country's worst hit by the cold snap had temperatures in -20 degrees, with double cold air from both Siberia and North Pole causing at least 7 deaths this week. According to the Polish government, the death toll has brought to the total number of cold-related weather deaths to over 60 since the beginning of winter. For some, however, it wasn't all doom and gloom.
Severe weather, albeit unrelated to the big freeze in Europe or the storm Emma, is also having an effect in the US. At least 6 people have been killed as strong winds brought branches or entire trees down on streets, cars and homes. Meanwhile, seawater pounded homes along Massachusetts shore and poured onto coastal streets yesterday as a storm packing heavy winds hit the US East Coast from Maine to Virginia.
Almost 1.7 million homes and businesses were without power in the Northeast and Midwest. About 3,000 US flights were cancelled and the control tower at Dallas International Airport outside Washington was briefly evacuated due to dangerous high winds. The first flood surge came at an extreme high tide, which occurred a little after 11 a.m. in Boston. The second time this year, parts of the city flooded. The street-level flooding receded later in the afternoon, but high winds whipped up whitecaps and tossed sailboats moored in Boston Harbor. Officials warned that strong ocean winds could keep waters high and posed a risk of even higher flood levels at the next 2 high tides due near noon today.
We have more international news in brief.
Russian President Vladimir Putin told Washington to send him hard evidence that his citizens meddled in US elections, mocking accusations to date as yelling and hollering in the United States Congress. The Office of US Special Counsel Robert Mueller charged 13 Russians and 3 firms last month with interfering in the 2016 presidential vote, to which Putin reacted in an interview with NBC TV, stating that he needed material to see what they are said to have done. Germany's Social Democrats were preparing to count the votes of hundreds of thousands of party members who will decide if a new coalition under Chancellor Angela Merkel will take office more than 4 months after an election. Germany, Europe's economic powerhouse, has faced months of uncertainty after voters returned a fragmented parliament. An earlier attempt to form a Merkel-led 3-way coalition collapsed. Italians will vote tomorrow to choose a new parliament in a close-run election. Italy's 18th general election since 1948 takes place less than 3 months after President Sergio Mattarella dissolved parliament on December 28th. The people will simultaneously cast their votes for the 630-member lower chamber and the 315-member Senate. Turkish warplanes struck pro-Syrian government forces in the northwestern Afrin region of Syria today, killing at least 36 of them. The pro-Syrian government forces entered Afrin last week in support of the Kurdish YPG militia, the stated target of the operation launched by Turkey and allied Syrian rebel fighters in January.
The 84th Battle of the Saints between St. Peter's and St. Joseph's colleges ended in a draw today as the match was forced to stop due to bad light. Meanwhile, the 89th Battle of the Maroons between Anand and Nalanda colleges got underway today at the Singley Sports Club in Colombo.
Playing their first innings, St. Joseph's College could only manage 195 runs yesterday. Resuming the innings this morning with the score on 190 for 6, St. Peter's College was all out for 244 in their first innings. In their second innings, St. Joseph's College declared on 237 for the loss of 8 wickets and handed the Peterites a target of 189. The match, however, ended in a draw as it was forced to stop due to bad light. Meanwhile, the 89th Battle of the Maroons between Ananda and Nalanda colleges got underway at the Sinhalese Sports Club in Colombo today. Batting first, Ananda College only managed 141 runs all out. Launching their first innings, Nalanda College scored 105 runs for the loss of 5 wickets at stumps.
Luka Pouille made it to his third ATP final, overcoming Filip Krajinovic in the Dubai Championship semi-finals yesterday. Pouille will now take on third-seeded Roberto Bautista Agut, who ended the dream run of Tunisian wildcard Malek Jaziri in yesterday's other semi-final.
In a rain-interrupted semi-final, Luka Pouille played some fine shots and had the first set under control. Filip Krajinovic made a good comeback in the second set, bringing hope of his favour. Despite a tough fight by Krajinovic, Pouille sealed a 6-3, 6-7, 7-6 victory in just over 2.5 hours of play. In the second semi-finale, Malek Jaziri's run at the Dubai Championships came to an end after being defeated by third-seeded Roberto Bautista Agut. Bautista Agut was impressive throughout the match as he powered past Jaziri 6-3, 6-4.
Let's now cross over to Shanla Fernando at the other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Your temperatures for tomorrow will range between 20 and 29 degrees Celsius, with the lowest expected in the central hills as usual. Well, looking at the map, a low pressure zone will form from the Sabaragamu province and will gradually disappear. Well, the sun will be very generous to the areas of Jaffna and Mena, but that, however, will not be the same case in the areas of Vaunia, Anuradhapura, Kandy, Colombo, Gaul and Matara as well as Hambantota, as they can experience showers and thunder showers. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
Before we go, we have some visuals of a Lantern Festival held in Pingxi in Taiwan to share with you. The Lantern Festival was held yesterday, releasing more than 1,000 of flying lanterns that lit up the night sky. People from around the country gathered to celebrate the festival, which was traditionally held in the country for a long time. Hope you enjoy. Have a good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.